Imagine coming home to a notice taped to your door, giving you 72 hours to tear down your own house. No discussion, no warning, just a smug little deadline from someone who thinks they've already won. That's what happened to me when the HOA president of my quiet lakeside community decided my cabin, my family's legacy, was an eyesore she could erase with a snap of her fingers. What she didn't know was that her power trip was about to cost her everything, and I was the guy holding the deed to make it happen. My name's Tom Harper, 60 years old, a retired county surveyor from Oregon who thought I'd earned a few peaceful years after decades mapping property lines and dodging bureaucratic headaches. I moved into my dad's old cabin on Willow Lake, a 40-acre slice of heaven he bought back in '82, hoping for nothing more than morning coffee on the porch and the sound of water lapping the shore. That cabin wasn't just a house. It was where I spent summers as a kid, where Dad taught me to fish, where he'd sit in his creaky rocking chair and talk about building a community that respected the land and each other. He leased out 35 acres to the Willow Lake HOA for $1 a year, dreaming of a place where families could afford to live without big city nonsense. I inherited that land, that cabin, and that dream when he passed, and for years, I kept the lease at $1, figuring good neighbors would keep things fair. Then Evelyn Carter showed up, and everything went to hell. Evelyn, 50, swept into the HOA presidency 3 years ago like she was born to rule. Suddenly, our little lakeside haven had rules about everything. No hanging laundry, no planting veggies without a permit. Even your mailbox had to match her approved shade of beige. Most folks grumbled, but complied to avoid her wrath. Me? I'd spent 30 years dealing with petty tyrants in county offices, so when Evelyn started her campaign against me, I wasn't about to roll over. It all kicked off over a single daisy I planted by my front steps. Just a whim, something to brighten the place up. Next day, there's Evelyn, clipboard in hand, that fake smile plastered on her face, telling me I needed HOA approval for unauthorized landscaping. I laughed, told her it was my land, my daisy, and I'd do what I damn well pleased. Her smile didn't budge, but her eyes went cold, and I knew I'd just painted a target on my back. From there, it was like Evelyn had a personal vendetta. Monday, I got a $150 fine for improper vehicle storage because my pickup was parked in my own driveway, same spot for 5 years. Wednesday, a $250 hit for unapproved structures, a birdhouse I'd built for the sparrows nesting near the lake. By Friday, she slapped me with $100 for non-compliant exterior finish because my cabin's natural cedar wasn't on her color chart. Each notice came with this high and mighty language about community standards and escalating enforcement. I started keeping a log, old surveyor habits kicking in, dates, times, photos of every citation. Something about Evelyn's glee fell off, like she wasn't just enforcing rules but trying to break me. I wasn't wrong. Things got uglier when she called an HOA meeting, didn't invite me, naturally, and spun a story that I was some rogue troublemaker dragging down property values. Neighbors I'd known for years, folks like Mrs. Lopez who'd bring me tamales at Christmas, started giving me the cold shoulder. Jake Riley, my fishing buddy, wouldn't even look me in the eye. Evelyn told them I was unstable, maybe even dangerous, and she was their brave protector keeping the neighborhood safe. It stung, bad. These weren't just neighbors, they were friends, or so I thought. I could feel the isolation creeping in, the kind that makes you question if it's worth fighting. But I'd seen her type before, bullies who thrive on fear, and I wasn't about to let her run me off my own land. I got to work. Installed security cameras around the cabin, discreet but sharp, catching every move on my property. Pulled the original lease from Dad's old safe, a yellow document from '82 that laid out the deal. 35 acres to the HOA for $1 a year, adjustable to market rates with 30 days notice. I also dug into county records, and what I found made my blood boil. The HOA's clubhouse, their fancy pool, built on my land without a peep of permission, a clear breach of the lease. Evelyn had jacked up HOA fees from $150 to $350 a month without a proper vote, and there were whispers she'd funneled community money into her own backyard remodel. I was building a case, but I needed more. Then Evelyn upped the ante. She called the sheriff, claiming I'd threatened her, during a chat about her finds. 2 deputies showed up, lights flashing, while half the neighborhood peeked through their blinds. I stayed calm, showed them my camera footage, me, polite as pie, asking Evelyn to cite the rule I'd broken. The video didn't lie, and the deputies left with a warning to her about false reports. One of them, Deputy Sanchez, pulled me aside. "Seen this before, Tom," he said. "HOA folks get drunk on power. Keep your cameras rolling." That brush with the law left a mark, though. The gossip spread, and Evelyn made sure everyone heard I was trouble. She even posted on the neighborhood's private X group about safety concerns and protecting our community. I was starting to see how people get worn down, driven out, even when they're in the right. The real gut punch came when I got back from town one Saturday to find my fence, a little wooden thing around my herb garden, smashed to bits. My daisy, sliced off at the root, lying in the dirt. Taped to my door was a notice, bold red letters. Final warning. 72 hours TO demolish non-conforming structures, or HOA will enforce compliance. My cameras caught it all. Evelyn, directing a landscaping crew, smirking as she said, "This old guy needs to learn his lesson." I stood there, staring at the broken wood, the empty dirt, and for a moment, I felt the weight of it, the loneliness, the unfairness. Then something shifted. I smiled. Evelyn had just handed me the rope to hang her with. She'd crossed into criminal territory, and I was ready to bury her. I called my old friend Alan Kessler, a real estate lawyer who'd helped Dad with the original lease. At 70, Alan was still a bulldog, and when I laid out Evelyn's campaign, he cackled. "Tom, this is Christmas morning. She's got no idea who she's messing with." We spent hours poring over the lease, confirming I could jack the rent to market rates. $8,000 an acre, $280,000 a year for 35 acres. Alan drafted a rent increase notice while I compiled my evidence. Photos, videos, county records showing Evelyn's violations. I found falsified HOA minutes, forged signatures, even emails where she threatened residents with fines if they didn't back her. It wasn't just bullying, it was a racket, and Evelyn was the kingpin. The game changer came when Evelyn's husband, Mark, knocked on my door one evening, looking like a man who hadn't slept in weeks. "Tom, I can't do this anymore," he said, voice low. "Evelyn's out of control. She's not the woman I married." He handed me a flash drive with emails and texts, proof she'd rigged HOA elections and siphoned $12,000 for her own patio. Mark was done, ready to divorce, and wanted to make things right. "She threatened families, Tom," he said. "Kids' playground privileges, fake fines, it's sick." I thanked him, promised to keep him out of the crossfire, and added his evidence to my arsenal. I reached out to Lena Cruz, a reporter for the local NBC affiliate who'd exposed HOA scams before. Over coffee, I gave her the rundown, holding back the rent hike for now. "This is big, Tom," she said, scribbling notes. "People are fed up with HOA tyrants. Your story could light a fire." She dug up dirt on Evelyn's past, similar stunts in Nevada community, where she'd left under a cloud of complaints. I asked Lena to sit tight until the right moment. That moment was coming fast. I called an emergency HOA meeting, my right as a resident, sending notices to all 60 households. Urgent. Land ownership and community future. Evelyn called, furious, screaming about unauthorized meetings, but I shut her down, quoting the bylaws like the surveyor I was. The meeting was set for Wednesday, and the community hall was packed. 80 people, some from nearby neighborhoods, drawn by the buzz. Lena and her cameraman were in the back, filming with Evelyn's reluctant okay. She strutted in with a stack of papers, ready to spin her usual nonsense. But the air felt different, charged, like everyone knew something was about to break. I stood up, heart steady, and asked, "Who here knows who owns the 35 acres your homes sit on?" Blank stares, a few whispers. Evelyn's face tightened, but she stayed quiet. "Let me clarify," I said, holding up Dad's deed. "I'm Tom Harper, son of Jack Harper, who bought this land in 1982. I've been your landlord, charging $1 a year for 35 acres. The room went silent, jaws dropping. I hooked my laptop to the projector and laid it all out. First, The video of Evelyn ordering my fence and Daisy destroyed. Her voice clear. This old guy needs to learn his lesson. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Then the financials. $12,000 siphoned to her patio. Unauthorized fee hikes. Forged signatures. Finally, Mark's emails, showing her threats to residents. One to Mrs. Lopez about her grandkids' park access. Another to Jake Riley's wife about legal action if they didn't vote her way. Mrs. Lopez stood, tears in her eyes. "Tom, she told us you were a threat, that you'd hurt someone. I'm so sorry." Jake followed, voice shaking. "She fined us $600 for our dog barking. We skipped 8 nights to pay it." A single mom, Maria Chun, dropped the hammer. "Evelyn said she'd ban my kids from the pool if I didn't back her re-election." I felt trapped. The room erupted, anger turning on Evelyn like a tide. She jumped up, red-faced, shouting, "You're all being played? I made this community better. Every rule was for you." I stayed calm, letting her unravel. "Better," I said. "A place where kids can't play past 5 p.m.? Where neighbors go broke paying your fines." Her screams only made her look smaller, desperate. Lena spoke up, voice cutting through. "I've covered HOAs for years. This is textbook abuse of power. Mr. Harper could end your lease tomorrow, and you'd all be out." The crowd froze, processing. I raised a hand. "I'm not here to kick anyone out, but we need leaders who serve, not bully." The vote was a landslide, 58-1 to boot Evelyn from the HOA, her lone supporter a crony who slunk out with her. She grabbed her papers and stormed off, the room's eyes boring into her back. Mark stayed, head down, promising to help fix the mess. Lena's story aired that night, the $1 landlord who fought back, and went viral, racking up millions of views on X. The county opened an investigation into the HOA's books, finding $20,000 in misspent funds. Evelyn faced criminal charges for property damage, a $1,500 fine, 80 hours cleaning park trails, and a lifetime ban from HOA boards. She sold her house to pay $12,000 in restitution and $4,000 to me for the fence and Daisy, then hightailed it to Arizona, tail between her legs. Mark got custody of their teens and stayed, rebuilding trust one apology at a time. I sent the HOA a notice. Rent's now $280,000 a year, forcing them to negotiate a fair deal that funds lake conservation. The community changed overnight. Mrs. Lopez took over as interim president, slashing fees to $200 a month, posting every expense online. We ditched Evelyn's rules. Kids play till 7 p.m. Gardens bloom without permits. Jake and I started a workshop teaching kids to build birdhouses, and Maria got elected to the city council. We turned a patch by the lake into a community garden, planting daisies to mark Daisy Day, the anniversary of our fight. Property values jumped 10%, not from rules but from trust, from neighbors who wave again, who share a beer on the porch. I hung a sign Mark carved, "Tom Harper, neighbor." That's enough for me. Sitting in Dad's old chair, watching kids chase fireflies by the lake, I think about what he'd say. He wanted a community that felt like family, and we got there not by fighting to win, but by fighting for what's right. Evelyn thought she could break me, but she built something better, a place where daisies grow free, and so do we. Was I too harsh, raising the rent like that? Maybe, but when someone tries to steal your home, your peace, you hit back hard. What would you have done? Ever faced an HOA bully or a neighbor who thought they owned you? Drop your story in the comments. I want to hear it. If this hit home, smash that like button and subscribe. Let's keep these stories alive.